In a world where our children spend countless hours online, danger often lurks in the most innocent-looking places. Today's story will make you question everything you thought you knew about online safety. It's a chilling tale that begins in the digital realm, but leaves very real scars in our physical world. Imagine discovering that behind a simple gaming chat, there exists a network so sinister it deliberately targets our children with the sole purpose of causing harm. This isn't just another cautionary tale about online predators. This is the story of Richard Densmore, known online as Rabid, a member of a terrifying organization called 764 that turned innocent online spaces into hunting grounds for the most vulnerable among us. What makes this case particularly disturbing is how it demonstrates that predators are no longer working alone. They're organizing, creating sophisticated networks, and hiding behind seemingly harmless usernames in the very same digital spaces where our children play games and chat with friends. For more details about this case that shook the foundations of online safety, visit therealcrimediary.com, where we've compiled an extensive breakdown of how these predators operate and what parents need to know. The 764 network represents a disturbing evolution in online criminal organizations. Unlike traditional predator groups, 764 operates with a terrifying mission: to normalize and promote both child exploitation and extreme violence. Their ultimate goal? To corrupt young minds and push society toward chaos. What makes 764 particularly dangerous is their systematic approach to targeting victims. They don't just wait for opportunities, they actively create them. Members infiltrate popular gaming platforms and social media sites, places where young people feel safe and comfortable. They begin with seemingly innocent conversations, but their intentions are anything but harmless. The network has developed sophisticated methods of manipulation, using a combination of psychological pressure, blackmail, and peer pressure to control their victims. They create exclusive online communities where they gradually expose young members to increasingly disturbing content. This calculated approach serves to desensitize victims, making them more susceptible to exploitation. Perhaps most disturbing is how 764 turns victimization into a sort of twisted social currency. Members gain status within the network by recruiting new victims and pushing them to perform increasingly extreme acts. They share recordings of these acts, creating a horrifying cycle of exploitation that feeds on itself. The network's reach extends far beyond any single platform or community. They operate across multiple social media sites, gaming servers, and messaging apps, making them particularly difficult to track and shut down. Their members often pose as fellow gamers or friendly peers, making it nearly impossible for young people to distinguish them from genuine online friends. At the center of this dark web of exploitation was Richard Densmore, who operated under the name Rabid. His methods were calculated and cruel, designed to maximize his influence over vulnerable young victims through the creation of what he called sewer communities on Discord. These weren't just chat rooms. They were carefully orchestrated spaces where Densmore and his associates would identify and groom potential victims. His preferred hunting grounds were popular online gaming sites, places where young people naturally gathered to socialize and play. He would integrate himself into these communities, appearing as just another gamer while secretly evaluating potential targets. Once he identified a victim, Densmore would employ a brutal form of psychological manipulation. He would coerce children into participating in what he called cut shows, live streams where victims were forced to harm themselves. His demands would escalate over time, pushing boundaries further and further while threatening his victims with exposure or worse if they refused to comply. His signature move was particularly disturbing. He would demand that victims carve his online name, Rabid, into their skin. He collected these images like trophies alongside other evidence of his victims' suffering. When simple coercion wasn't enough, he would resort to direct threats, telling his victims, "I own you," and backing up these threats with personal information he had gathered about them. To expand his reach, Densmore even created a reward system within his communities. He would use Discord's Nitro currency to pay other members who helped him secure new victims, creating a pyramid scheme of exploitation that pulled more and more young people into his web of abuse. In October 2022, a disturbing interaction unfolded that would ultimately lead to Densmore's downfall. A young girl, known only as Jane Doe to protect her identity, became his target. What started as seemingly innocent contact quickly turned sinister when Densmore demanded she send him an explicit photograph with his online name, Rabid, written across her bare chest. When Jane Doe expressed her discomfort with this request, Densmore didn't back down. Instead, he adapted his strategy, reaching out to another Discord user and offering payment in the form of Discord Nitro to help him manipulate the young girl. This collaboration proved devastatingly effective. Through their combined pressure and manipulation, they succeeded in coercing Jane Doe into creating and sending a nude video of herself, complete with Densmore's demanded signature of Rabid written on her chest. This case exemplifies the sophisticated manipulation tactics employed by online predators. What began as resistance from Jane Doe was methodically broken down through the coordinated efforts of multiple perpetrators. Densmore's willingness to pay others to assist in his exploitation revealed not just his own criminal behavior, but the existence of a broader network of individuals willing to participate in these crimes for minimal compensation. The evidence obtained from this specific interaction with Jane Doe became a crucial piece of the investigation, providing law enforcement with concrete proof of Densmore's methods and intentions. It demonstrated how he would persist even when met with initial rejection, finding alternative ways to achieve his goals through networking with other predators and exploiting the very platform features designed for legitimate social interaction. The investigation into Richard Anthony Densmore's activities led to one of the most significant arrests in recent cybercrime history. After months of careful evidence gathering and digital forensics, law enforcement officials finally closed in on the man known online as Rabid. The case culminated in a 30-year federal prison sentence, marking a decisive victory in the fight against online child exploitation. Attorney General Merrick B. Garland's statement emphasized the gravity of Densmore's crimes, particularly highlighting his role in the 764 network's systematic abuse of children. Richard Densmore will spend the next 30 years in federal prison for sexually exploiting a child and for his role in creating online networks that coerced children into recording themselves engaging in self-harm, sexually explicit acts, and violence, Garland declared, underlining that no child should ever endure such heinous abuse. FBI Director Christopher Wray's remarks drove home the Bureau's commitment to hunting down online predators. He emphasized that criminals cannot hide behind their keyboards, stating that the FBI would utilize every resource at their disposal to bring such perpetrators to justice. The investigation showcased the FBI's sophisticated capabilities in tracking and identifying online predators, even those operating within complex networks designed to avoid detection. The successful prosecution, led by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Western District of Michigan, represented more than just one conviction. It demonstrated law enforcement's growing ability to combat evolving forms of online exploitation. The case has become a blueprint for future investigations into similar networks, proving that even the most sophisticated online predators can be caught and held accountable for their crimes. As parents and caregivers, we must be more vigilant than ever in protecting our children from online dangers. The FBI has identified several crucial warning signs that could indicate your child is being targeted or groomed by online predators. Pay close attention to any unexpected changes in your child's behavior, particularly if they become secretive about their online activities or seem distressed after using the internet. Watch for physical signs that might indicate trouble. If your child suddenly starts wearing long sleeves or pants during warm weather, this could be an attempt to hide cuts or bruises. Be especially alert to any fresh wounds, particularly those appearing in unusual patterns or locations. The arrival of unexpected packages should also raise immediate concern, as predators often send materials to their victims. Monitoring your children's online activities isn't about invading their privacy. It's about ensuring their safety. Have open conversations about the risks of sharing personal information online. Discuss what kinds of content are appropriate to share and what aren't. Regular online searches of your family members' names can help you identify and prevent the spread of personal information that predators might exploit. Remember, children often won't come forward on their own when they're being exploited. They might feel ashamed, scared, or manipulated into silence. Create an environment where they feel safe discussing their online experiences without fear of judgment or punishment. If you notice sudden behavioral changes, withdrawal from family activities, or unusual emotional responses to online interactions, these could be red flags requiring immediate attention. The devastating reality of online child exploitation can feel overwhelming, but there's hope and help available through initiatives like Project Safe Childhood. This nationwide program, launched in 2006 by the Department of Justice, brings together federal, state, and local resources to combat the growing threat of child exploitation and abuse online. What makes Project Safe Childhood particularly effective is its comprehensive approach. By coordinating efforts between U.S. attorneys' offices, law enforcement agencies, and local communities, they're not just catching predators, they're working to prevent these crimes before they happen. Through education and outreach, they're empowering parents and children with the knowledge needed to stay safe in our digital world. If you suspect a child is being exploited online, don't hesitate to act. Contact your local law enforcement immediately. If there's an immediate threat to a child's safety, call 911. Remember, you're not alone in this fight. Resources and support are available 24/7 through various hotlines and online platforms dedicated to protecting our children. The case of Richard Densmore serves as a stark reminder that online predators can hide behind any screen, in any virtual space our children frequent. But by staying informed, maintaining open communication with our children, and working together as a community, we can help prevent these crimes and protect our most vulnerable. For more information on keeping children safe online and identifying potential threats, visit Project Safe Childhood's website at www.projectsafechildhood.gov. Let's remember that our children's safety in the digital world requires the same vigilance we apply to their safety in the physical world. By understanding the threats, recognizing the warning signs, and knowing where to turn for help, we can work together to create a safer online environment for all our children. Hey listeners, welcome back to The Real Crime Diary. I'm your host, Sean Dupree. If you tuned in last time, we had a deep dive into the disturbing history of power abuse across different eras, looking at the connection between dominance, control, and how it plays out even today. We touched on scandals from the past and compared them with some modern-day examples, showing how these patterns of abuse, unfortunately, persist. One of the most insightful tools we've explored to understand this is my book, Power, Pleasure, and Pain, a study of abuse through time. It's not just a historical account, but an interdisciplinary approach to understanding why this keeps happening. We draw from history, philosophy, and modern case studies to explain how figures like Dominique Pellico, Harvey Weinstein, and others have exploited their positions of power for their own gain, often protected by the very systems meant to stop them. Recap of last interaction. In our last live stream, we discussed how libertinism, philosophically introduced by figures like Marquis de Sade, has shaped the way power and pleasure have been entangled throughout history. This concept ties directly into how figures like Weinstein operated, as we saw parallels between de Sade's fictional characters and the way powerful men manipulated their victims in real life. You guys had some amazing comments, asking how societal structures have allowed these behaviors to go unchecked for so long. It's a crucial question, and one that the book addresses deeply. Why this book is valuable. Now, what's powerful about Power, Pleasure, and Pain is its ability to break down these historical patterns and link them to the present. You're not just reading about ancient Rome or Enlightenment philosophy, you're seeing how these ideologies are alive today. The book uncovers how sexual violence and control have been systematically woven into the fabric of societies from ancient times right up to the modern era. It's about understanding not just the individual predators, but the systems that protect them. Whether it's in royal courts, religious institutions, or today's corporate and entertainment worlds. Through these historical lenses, we also explore movements like #MeToo that are beginning to dismantle these structures. The fight for justice is far from over, but as the book demonstrates, we are in the midst of a cultural shift where legal reforms are finally addressing these long-standing issues. It's more than a history lesson. It's a guide to understanding and supporting change today. What's next? If you want to dive deeper, I suggest picking up Power, Pleasure, and Pain, a study of abuse through time. It's available now, and trust me, It will change the way you think about power, pleasure, and control. We've even got some exclusive content coming up on the channel where we'll be exploring the book's case studies in even more detail, so stay tuned for that. And if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to The Real Crime Diary so you don't miss any updates. Let's keep this conversation going, because understanding the past is key to changing the future.